I talked about a new online course that is going to start up. This is going to start up Saturday, July 24th. Saturday, July 24th. It's going to be 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And this is from the Civil War to Civil Rights and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. From the Civil War to Civil Rights and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. So it's going to be a 10-week online course, and each week we'll look at approximately a 10-year period of history. Starting in 1865, we'll look at Special Field Order number 15, January 1865, also known as 40 Acres and a Mule. We'll look at the assassination of Abraham Lincoln, April 1865. We'll look at the ending of the Civil War. Then June 19th, 1865, when Major General Gordon Granger goes into Galveston, Texas, to deliver General Order number 3 to 250,000 enslaved Africans there. We'll look at the 13th Amendment, December 1865, and then we'll look at this Reconstruction era, 1865 to 1877. What happens during Reconstruction, the advancements that African Americans are making in acquiring land. Then we'll look at the Compromise of 1877 that ends Reconstruction, and how land is being taken back and rights are being reversed, and obstacles are being put in the way of us voting. And we'll look at things like the Texas State Constitution of 1876 and the Mississippi State Constitution of 1890, where Judge Solomon Saladin Calhoun said that we are here to exclude the Negro. And the majority of people in Mississippi in 1890 were African Americans. And you had African Americans voting, just like in South Carolina. In South Carolina, the state legislature in South Carolina after the Civil War is majority African American men. So we're voting and things like this. And then you have this attack on all this, and this reversal after the compromise of 1877, which was a compromise. A lot of black conservatives don't want to tell you this. That was an agreement between the Republicans and the Democrats. See, a lot of black conservatives just want to talk about Democrats. You don't want to talk about how the Republican Party sold out African Americans, because the compromise of 1877, during the 1876 presidential election, neither Rutherford B. Hayes, the Republican candidate, or Samuel J. Tilden, the Democratic candidate, neither one had enough electoral college votes to become president. So the whole debate goes on for months after the 1876 presidential election. So they come to a compromise. The Republicans say, well, if you let Rutherford B. Hayes become president, we'll remove the Union troops out of the South. The Union troops in the South were protecting the rights of African Americans to a certain extent. The South wanted those troops removed so they can take back power. So the Republicans agreed to this. Democrats let Rutherford B. Hayes become president, and Rutherford B. Hayes, when he becomes president, removes the Union troops out of the South. This ushers in the Jim Crow era. And you see this reversal of rights and infringements on our rights, things like this. And then we see Plessy versus Ferguson, 1896, U.S. Supreme Court case. We see the grandfather clauses of 1898. Then we go into the 20th century. World War I, 1914 to 1918, Great Migration, 1915 to 1970, 6 million African Americans migrating out of the South, up north and out west. Is totally going to change this country. We see things like the Red Summer, 1919, where you had over 25 major race riots in this country. The Red Summer, 1919. You're going to see things like the Tulsa Race Massacre, 1921. This is all after World War I ends. The Tulsa Race Massacre, 1921. We see the formation of Negro History Week in 1926. Dr. Carter G. Woodson, who co-founds the Association for the Study of Negro Life and History, September 9th, 1915, during World War I. And 1915 is the 50th anniversary of the Civil War ending and the 13th Amendment. In 1915 is also going to be a pivotal year because that's the year that the movie The Birth of a Nation comes out, which causes race riots in the streets. And the movie The Birth of a Nation is going to rejuvenate the Ku Klux Klan. So we deal with the Great Migration, we deal with the Red Summer, we deal with World War I, World War II, Rosewood, 1923. We deal with Herbert Hoover, 1928, becoming president. The stock market crash, October 1929. President Roosevelt in the 1932 presidential election. We're going to, each class will go through and analyze a 10-year period of history. And this takes us up to World War II, 1945, baby boomer generation, then the GI Bill. Then we go into the civil rights movement. Brown versus Board of Education, 1954. Emmett Till lynching, August 28th, 1955. Montgomery bus boycott, December 5th, 1955. So in the civil rights movement, out of the civil rights movement comes the Black Power movement, because Black Power, that Black Power ideology comes out of SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, founded about between April, May 1960. And we know June 26, 1966, during the March Against Fear in Mississippi, when Kwame Ture Stokely Carmichael gives his speech about We Want Black Power. See, he's a member of SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. Black Panther Party for Self-Defense hasn't been founded yet. That's October 1966. So each class, we're going to go through and analyze a 10-year period of history to understand how we got to where we are today, so we better understand what we need to do to get to where we need to go. So this class would be from the Civil War to Civil Rights and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Okay, this would be a 10-week online course. It'll be Saturdays, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to post a link here. You can register for the online course. Course is regularly $130. It's on sale $80. And as soon as you register, there's some archive content there that you can start watching as well. Okay, so we do the class live. All the sessions are recorded. You can go back and watch them over and over again. All right. And even after the course is over with, after the 10 weeks is over with, you still have access to the class. You can still watch it. All right. That is, and we'll put a link on our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, for it as well. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We'll put a link there, also for the course. And it starts up Saturday, July 24th, 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is a 10-week online course from the Civil War to Civil Rights. And this is going to be an exciting class. Each class, we will analyze a 10-year period of history. From 1865, we'll start with, that's the last year of the Civil War. We'll start in January 1865 with Special Field Order number 15, known as 40 Acres and a Mule. 40 Acres and a Mule. Okay. And we'll deal with the end of the end of the Civil War, April 9th, 1865. We'll talk about assassination of Abraham Lincoln. We'll talk about Juneteenth, June 19th, 1865, and why the Emancipation Proclamation did not free the enslaved Africans, why you needed the 13th Amendment of December 1865. And we'll go through our history. We'll go through Reconstruction, 1865 to 1877, 1876, Texas State Constitution, Plessy versus Ferguson, 1896, 1890, Mississippi State Convention, where they vote on the Mississippi State Constitution that institutes poll taxes and literacy tests for African American voters. And this is in Mississippi. At this time in Mississippi, the majority of the population in Mississippi is African American. Okay, so we'll take you throughout history. We'll go to the early 1900s with the Great Migration, 1915 and 1918, World War I, 1914 and 1918, the Great Pandemic, the Spanish flu pandemic in 1918, 1990, 1919, going into early 1920. And then in 1919, the year after World War I ends, you know, we have the Red Summer. We have the Red Summer of 1919, where you have over 25 major race riots in this country as well. Okay, the Red Summer of 1919, and that's a critical period in history because that is 2 years before the Tulsa Race Massacre, 1921, and then the year before that, 1920, you have the Ocoee, Florida massacre, which is centering around the right to vote. 1923, you have the Rosewood massacre in Florida. Okay. And during this period of time in the 1920s, you have the rise of the Ku Klux Klan, the resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan, largely because of the movie The Birth of a Nation in 1915. So then we'll go through the Great Migration, 1915 to 1970. 6 million African Americans migrate from the South up north and out west. World War I, which is going to change the world and change this country, and especially after World War I, 1941 and 1945, baby boomer generation, GI Bill, New Deal, and then the building of the suburbs and the deindustrialization of the inner city, and federal laws like the Federal Housing Act of 1949, which allows white people to put 3% down on low interest loans and get houses built out in the newly built suburbs. When we try to take advantage of those policies, we're discriminated against and locked out of buying houses in the newly formed suburbs. They're using a redlining system, which was created by the federal government, created by the Homeowners Loan Corporation about 1937. So we'll take you through our history. Each class, we will analyze approximately a 10-year period of time, and we'll go through and look at that 1940s, 50s. We'll go into the civil rights movement. We'll look at Brown versus Board of Education, U.S. Supreme Court case 1954. Next year, Emmett Till is lynched August 28th, 1955 in Money, Mississippi. A few months later, the Montgomery bus boycott starts December 5th, 1955. 2 years before the Montgomery bus boycott, you have a little known bus boycott in Baton Rouge, Louisiana in 1953, led by the Reverend T.J. Jemison. And this boycott in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, 1953, that lasted 8 days, served as a template for the Montgomery bus boycott that lasted 381 days. So we'll take you throughout history to see how we got to where we are here. We'll go throughout the civil rights movement, assassination of Malcolm X, assassination of Dr. King, birth of the Black Power movement, 1966, coming out of SNCC, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. SNCC comes out of SCLC. SCLC is founded in 1957 by Dr. King and Ella Baker. SNCC is founded May 1960. We'll deal with the March Against Fear, June of 1966, and June 26, 1966, Kwame Ture unleashes the phrase Black Power at a speech when he and Dr. King come out of jail during the March Against Fear. And he says, "We want Black Power. We want Black Power." This is before the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense is founded. They're not founded until October 1966. And it's Kwame Ture and Mukasa Dada Willie Ricks who create this term Black Power and popularize this term, starting within SNCC, and they're galvanizing the people with this power and galvanizing people with Black Power ideology. And Black Power is the next step of the civil rights movement. The Black Power movement comes out of the civil rights movement, and that's the next step. So we'll take you through our history through up to about 1968 with the assassination of Dr. King. That's a bit. You can visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Scroll down the page. You'll see the information for this new online course from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1965. Click right here on register here. It takes you to the next page. Click on enroll. And as soon as you register, we have some bonus content you can start watching. And this class is going to start up Saturday, July 24th. 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do the class live. All the sessions are recorded. You can go back and watch it over and over again. You have access to this content even next year, even after the course is over with. And as a bonus, you'll get the first 3 classes of the other 10-week online course that I teach, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Ma'afa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. I'm going to post a link here. You can register for the course now, and you listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 AM Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes.